Listen carefully. Somewhere along the way, you were taught the biggest lie of your life. You were taught to care. You were taught to feel deeply. You were taught to take everything personally. And that was your very first mistake. Every heartbreak you've ever felt, every betrayal that shattered you, every insult that cut you open, all of it came from this one flaw. You let the world touch your inner world. You gave strangers, friends, lovers, enemies access to the one place they should never enter: your emotions. Think about it. How many times have you been broken, not because of what actually happened, but because of the meaning you gave it? A breakup, a betrayal, a harsh word. It wasn't the event itself, it was the emotional permission you gave others to decide how you feel. Machiavelli never made that mistake. He watched people from a distance, like a surgeon studying a disease, not with emotion, but with precision, not with hope, but with calculation. And that's the difference. The weak feel. The strong observe. If you want peace, if you want freedom, if you want to walk through life untouched by betrayal, by rejection, by manipulation, then the first thing you must do is destroy your sensitivity. You must train yourself to become immune. Immune to love. Immune to hate. Immune to praise. Immune to shame. Because here's the truth. No one can hurt you when you are emotionally invisible. No one can manipulate you when you don't react the way they expect. No one can defeat you when your heart is untouchable and your mind is the only God you worship. Now let me make this clear. This is not about becoming cold. It's not about becoming a robot. It's about becoming free. Most people live as emotional slaves. They rise when they're loved. They collapse when they're rejected. They glow when praised. They shatter when criticized. That is not freedom. That is dependency. And in this video, in this series, I'm going to teach you how to disappear from emotional slavery and rise as something else. Something rare. Something dangerous. A man no one can affect. A man even Machiavelli would fear. But before you can become that, you must break the first illusion. And the illusion is this: that you matter to others. Most people walk through life with a tragic misunderstanding. They believe that if they are good, honest, and loyal, others will treat them the same. They believe emotional openness will be rewarded with care. But Machiavelli understood a darker truth. People do not act out of love. They act out of self-interest. Your value to others is conditional. You are only as important as the benefit you provide them. And the second that benefit disappears, so does their loyalty. That's not cruelty. That's nature. And the moment you accept this, you finally begin to free yourself. Think about your own life. How many times have you been shocked, hurt, even destroyed because someone you trusted didn't treat you the way you treated them? A friend vanished. A lover betrayed. A partner switched sides. You thought it was about you, but it was never about you. It was about what they stood to gain. This is why people suffer, because they believe their pain matters to others. They believe betrayal was personal. They believe disrespect was about them. But purpose, strategy, interest, that is the real reason behind most human actions. When someone insults you, it's rarely because they hate you. It's often because they want to elevate themselves. When someone ignores you, it's not because you don't matter. It's because they want you to chase. When someone lies to you, it's not to hurt you. It's because the truth doesn't serve their goal. And here's the cruel irony. The moment you react, the moment you get angry, offended, heartbroken, you give them exactly what they wanted. You show them your weakness. You prove to them they can reach you. That is control. And if you want to be free of manipulation, if you want to be immune to betrayal, if you want to be untouchable, then you must cut the root of weakness. Stop giving people access. Stop taking things personally. Stop expecting fairness. Stop assuming people act out of conscience. Instead, watch. Calculate. Ask yourself, what does this person gain from treating me this way? What role do I play in their strategy? That shift, from emotional to strategic, is the beginning of your strength. Because the moment you stop seeing yourself as the victim of people's cruelty and start seeing the strategy behind their moves, you stop being controlled. You stop being broken. You stop being affected. And that is step one. This is the first foundation of becoming untouchable. To realize that nothing is personal, that almost everything people do is strategic, that most actions are not about you. Once you embrace this mindset, you stop suffering from illusions. You stop expecting the world to play fair. You stop giving people the weapon of your emotions. And instead, you start to build the armor. Armor that no insult can pierce. Armor that no betrayal can break. Armor that no rejection can shatter. Because when you are unreadable, when you are calm, when you are indifferent, you hold the power. This is where your journey begins. You've taken the first step. You've seen through the illusion. You now understand most of what people do is not about you. But realizing this is only the beginning. The next challenge is even harder. Learning to guard your inner world like a fortress. Because here's the truth. Most people are not defeated by enemies, but by themselves. Not by what others do, but by what they reveal. Think about it. How often do you overshare? How often do you explain yourself to people who don't even care? How often do you reveal your doubts, your fears, your guilt, your wounds, thinking someone will handle them with care? Let me tell you, most people don't care. And the ones who pretend to care, they're just waiting for the right moment to use it against you. That's why Machiavelli would say, guard your inner world like a fortress. Say less. Show less. Be unreadable. Because the less they see, the less they can attack. Look around you. The world does not reward emotional depth. It rewards emotional discipline. Most people are slaves to their feelings. They rise when they're praised. They fall when they're criticized. They speak when they should stay silent. They confess when they should conceal. And that is why they are controlled. If you want to become untouchable, you must reverse this. You must become someone whose worth is untied from other people's opinions. When praise doesn't inflate you, and criticism doesn't break you, you become something rare. You become something dangerous. You become free. Now let's make this practical. How do you actually guard your fortress? How do you make your inner world invisible to attack? It begins with 3 rules. Rule number 1, stop over-explaining yourself. People don't care about your reasons. They care about your results. When you over-explain, you expose. When you explain, you give people material to twist. Learn to let your actions speak for themselves. Rule number 2, stop seeking sympathy. Most people are not listening to your pain because they care. They're listening because pain is leverage. They'll remember your weak spots. They'll use them when it benefits them. So stop handing over ammunition. Rule number 3, stop oversharing. Your doubts, your wounds, your insecurities, they are not truths to be displayed. They are weapons others can use. Machiavelli would warn you, guard your inner world like a fortress. Keep your emotions behind walls. Let the world see only what is useful for them to see. This doesn't mean you never speak. It doesn't mean you live in silence. It means you speak with intention. It means you reveal with strategy. It means you stop confusing vulnerability with strength. Because here's the hard truth. Public vulnerability is not strength. It is danger. The more you reveal, the easier you are to destroy. The man who guards his inner world is not cold, he is disciplined. He is not numb, he is in control. And that control makes him untouchable. Let me give you a picture. Imagine two men walk into a room. The first one speaks quickly, explains himself, tells stories about his pain, his struggles, his doubts. The second one says little. He listens. He observes. He reveals nothing. Who has the power? The one who speaks or the one who stays silent? Always the one who stays silent. Because mystery is power. Because unpredictability is power. Because the less people know, the more they fear. This is why silence is a weapon. This is why unreadability is an advantage. And this is why you must guard your fortress. When you stop explaining yourself, people wonder. When you stop seeking sympathy, people respect you or they fear you, but they cannot use you. When you stop oversharing, you become a mystery. And mystery is dominance. Most people hate silence. They hate when you don't respond. They hate when they can't read you. They hate when they can't provoke you. But that's exactly why you must master it. Because silence makes people project. They start to imagine what you're thinking. They start to fill the gaps with their own fears. They start to lose control. The less you show, the more they wonder. The less you reveal, the more they chase. And that is power. So remember this. Your inner world is a fortress. Every time you overshare, you leave the gate open. Every time you explain, you weaken the wall. Every time you seek sympathy, you hand the enemy the keys. Close the gates. Reinforce the walls. Let no one in. Because the man who guards his inner world is the man who cannot be broken. And that is the second step to becoming untouchable. You've learned the first step. Stop taking things personally. You've learned the second step. Guard your inner world like a fortress. But the third step is the hardest. The third step is to master emotional discipline. Because, let's be clear, the biggest enemy you face is not betrayal, not insults, not rejection. The biggest enemy is your own emotions. Most people are not controlled by other people. They are controlled by their own feelings. They say they are logical, yet one insult makes them explode. They say they are strong, yet one rejection shatters their confidence. They say they are confident, yet one loss makes them doubt their entire worth. Why? Because they are not in control. Their emotions are. And if your emotions control you, then the world controls you. Because anyone who can trigger your emotions controls your actions. Think about it. If someone can make you angry, they own your reaction. If someone can make you sad, they control your spirit. If someone can trigger your guilt, they control your decisions. That is not freedom. That is slavery. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He knew that rulers, leaders, powerful men must never be governed by their feelings. Because emotion is weakness. Emotion is exposure. Emotion is the crack through which your enemies enter. That's why you must master emotional discipline. But listen closely. I'm not telling you to kill your emotions. I'm telling you to control them. Not dead deliberate. Not numb strategic. Your emotions are tools, not chains. You must use them with intention. If charm will serve you, use it. If silence will intimidate, choose it. If rage will create fear, channel it. But never, ever let your emotions erupt uncontrolled. Never let anyone see what truly affects you. Because the moment they know, they'll use it. And once they can use it, you're already defeated. This world is not kind to openness. It does not reward raw honesty. It rewards composure, mystery, and self-mastery. The man who feels everything loudly will always be controlled by those who feel nothing. That's why you must learn to sit with discomfort without reacting, to hear insults without defending yourself, to experience pain without confession. Most people rush to talk when they're hurt. They look for someone to unload on. They search for someone to share their burden. That is weakness disguised as honesty. Strength is different. Strength is carrying your burden in silence. Strength is fixing your chaos on your own. Strength is sitting alone, rebuilding your mind in private. There is no honor in public vulnerability. There is only danger. Because the more you reveal, the easier you are to destroy. Machiavelli would say, "Be like a fox among wolves. Smile when it's expected. Laugh when it's strategic. But never, never reveal your inner life. Keep your real emotions locked behind a mask. Let the world see only what serves your purpose. You do not owe anyone the truth of your feelings, because the truth is most people don't care, and the few who pretend to care will use it when it suits them. Stop searching for emotional safety in others. Become your own safety. Stop needing others to validate your feelings. Validate them yourself. Then suppress them until they serve your strategy. Because self-control is a weapon. And here's what happens when you master it. The less you react, the more people fear you. The quieter you become, the more powerful you appear. There is power in unpredictability. When people know how you'll react, they can prepare. But if you remain unreadable, calm when you should be angry, silent when they expect you to lash out, smiling when they want you broken, you dominate them. You win psychological dominance. You become a mystery they cannot decode. And in that confusion, they lose their edge. This is how you control the game. Not with violence, not with threats, not with words, but with composure. Because in a world of emotional slaves, the one who feels but controls, the one who chooses when and how to use emotion, rules them all. That is emotional discipline. And it is the third step toward becoming untouchable. By now you've learned 3 things. Don't take things personally. Guard your inner world like a fortress. And master emotional discipline. Now comes the next weapon. A weapon sharper than any blade. A weapon most people never learn to use. Silence. Yes, silence is power. And when combined with strategic speech, it makes you untouchable. Think about it. Most people cannot stop talking. They speak to fill space. They speak to seek approval. They speak to ease their own insecurity. But every time they speak, they give away information. They reveal their thoughts, their feelings, their intentions. And the more they reveal, the weaker they become. Machiavelli understood this. He warned rulers never to reveal too much, to speak less than they know, to hide their true intentions. Because words are like currency. Spend them carelessly, and you end up broke. But silence? Silence multiplies your value. When you're silent, people project onto you. They start imagining your thoughts. They start doubting themselves. They start fearing what you might know, what you might do. Silence makes people uncomfortable, and in discomfort, they make mistakes. They reveal too much. They try too hard. They give you the upper hand. So here's the truth. The man who talks less always holds the power. But let's be clear, silence is not enough. You must also master strategic speech, because words, when used with precision, can control minds. They can build alliances. They can destroy reputations. They can change the direction of a room. The key is not to talk often, but to talk with impact. One sharp sentence at the right moment is worth more than 1,000 rambling explanations. One well-timed silence can crush an opponent more than any argument. This is why the untouchable man speaks like a strategist. He doesn't answer every question. He doesn't argue every point. He doesn't rush to explain himself. Instead, he chooses his words the way a general chooses his battles, carefully, deliberately, and only when victory is certain. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone insults you in public. The average person reacts immediately. They defend themselves. They argue. They try to win in the moment. But in doing so, they've already lost. Because they've revealed that the insult affected them. They've revealed their weakness. Now imagine a different response. You remain silent. You don't flinch. You don't argue. You simply let the insult hang in the air unanswered. Suddenly, the room shifts. The insulter looks desperate. Everyone else wonders why you didn't react. Your silence becomes louder than any defense. That is power. And when you do speak, your words cut like a blade. Not emotional, not defensive, just precise, unshakable, calm. That one sentence will echo far longer than any heated reaction. This is why you must train yourself to be comfortable with silence, to let others talk, to let others reveal, to let others drown themselves in their own words. Because when they do, you win without lifting a finger. Remember this: the one who talks the most usually has the least power. The one who talks the least controls the room. So stop rushing to speak. Stop explaining. Stop defending. Let silence do the heavy lifting. Then, when you choose to speak, make every word feel like a move on a chessboard. This is not just about communication. It's about dominance. It's about control. It's about appearing larger than life, because nobody can predict you. The man who speaks less is a mystery, and mystery creates fear. Mystery creates respect. Mystery makes you untouchable. So remember, silence is not weakness. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is strategy. And when paired with words sharpened like weapons, silence is the tool that turns ordinary men into legends. This is the fourth step toward becoming untouchable. You've already learned to guard your inner world. You've mastered emotional discipline. You've discovered the power of silence. Now, it's time for something even greater. Something that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. You must build an aura of power, an aura of mystery. Because here's the truth. It's not enough to be strong. It's not enough to be disciplined. It's not enough to be in control. You must appear powerful. You must radiate strength. You must become larger than life in the eyes of others. Because perception is power. In fact, perception is often stronger than reality. Think about it. History remembers kings, generals, and leaders, not just for what they did, but for the aura they carried. The way they entered a room. The way they held silence. The way they made people feel. And here's the secret. Most of that aura was built on mystery. The more people know about you, the less they fear you. The less people know, the more they wonder. And when they wonder, they exaggerate. They imagine you stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than you actually are. That imagination is your greatest ally. This is why Machiavelli advised rulers to appear powerful even when they weren't, to appear unshakable even in chaos, to project strength even when weak. Because people rarely see reality, they see performance. They see the mask. They see what you allow them to see. So how do you build this aura? First, control your entrances. Never rush into a room. Walk slowly, deliberately, as if time bends for you. Your presence must feel intentional, not accidental. Second, control your energy. Never appear frantic. Never appear desperate. Hold yourself with calmness. Even if you're boiling inside, your exterior must be still like a lake hiding the storm beneath. Third, control your availability. Scarcity creates value. The more accessible you are, the less powerful you seem. Withdraw, step back, make people wait for your attention. When you finally give it, it will feel like gold. Fourth, control what people know. Reveal fragments of yourself, but never the whole. Share just enough to spark curiosity, but not enough to satisfy it. Keep people guessing. Keep people wondering. Because mystery is magnetism. Fifth, control your reputation. Reputation is like armor. It protects you before you even step into battle. Build a reputation for being decisive, for being disciplined, for being unshakable. And your enemies will hesitate before they even test you. Now let me give you a picture. Imagine two men again. The first is always present, always talking, always revealing. People know everything about him, his weaknesses, his desires, his flaws. He is familiar. He is predictable. He is ordinary. The second is different. He speaks rarely, but when he does, people listen. He appears calm, no matter the situation. He is present, but never desperate for attention. He gives only fragments of himself. Nobody truly knows what he's thinking, what he wants, or what he'll do next. He is a mystery. Which one would you follow? Which one would you fear? Which one would you respect? Always the second. Because mystery creates authority, and aura creates power. But here's the key. Aura is not built in a single day. It is built through discipline, through consistent control of yourself, your actions, your presence, the way you dress, the way you move, the way you speak, the way you remain unreadable. All of it combines to create a presence that cannot be ignored. And once you have it, something incredible happens. People start to treat you differently. They give you more respect. They hesitate before challenging you. They assume you know more than you reveal. They assume you are more powerful than you even are. That assumption becomes your shield. That assumption becomes your weapon. That assumption makes you untouchable. So remember this. Never be ordinary. Never be fully known. Never be predictable. Build mystery. Build presence. Build reputation. Because aura is not decoration, it is domination. And the man who masters it becomes someone the world cannot ignore. This is the fifth step toward becoming untouchable. You've walked through every step. You've stopped taking things personally. You've guarded your inner world like a fortress. You've mastered emotional discipline. You've discovered the power of silence and strategic speech. You've built an aura of power and mystery. Now comes the final transformation. Now comes the last step. Becoming untouchable. But what does it mean, untouchable? It doesn't mean nothing ever affects you. It doesn't mean you never feel pain, or fear, or doubt. It means no one else controls those feelings. It means no one else owns you. Untouchable means you are self-sufficient. Untouchable means you are the source of your own strength. Untouchable means you do not bend to approval, you do not break under rejection, you do not collapse under pressure. It means you live by principle, not by impulse. By discipline, not by weakness. By strategy, not by accident. Think of it like this. Most people live on a leash of validation, a leash of opinion, a leash of fear. One word of praise and they rise. One word of criticism and they fall. One rejection and their world collapses. That is slavery. That is fragility. That is touchable. But the untouchable man, he cuts the leash. He is free. He does not rise with praise. He does not fall with criticism. He walks his own path, calm, steady, unshakable. This is what makes him dangerous. Because you cannot manipulate him. You cannot guilt him. You cannot shame him. You cannot bait him into reaction. He is not perfect, but he is independent. And independence is the ultimate power. Machiavelli would say, "The world is built on appearances." The untouchable man knows this, and he plays the game. But deep inside, he is detached from the game. He can wear the mask, but he is never the mask. He can perform, but he is never the performance. That separation, that inner freedom, makes him untouchable. Now listen carefully. You don't become untouchable overnight. It is built brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. Every time you refuse to take something personally, you strengthen the wall. Every time you guard your emotions, you reinforce the gate. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you sharpen the weapon. Every time you build mystery, you expand your aura. Until one day you are not just playing defense. You are playing offense. You are no longer simply protecting yourself from the world. You are bending the world to your presence. You are shaping how people treat you. You are shaping how they think of you. You are shaping the very reality around you. That is power. The untouchable man is not loved by everyone. He is not understood by everyone. But he is respected. And often he is feared. Because people cannot control what they cannot touch. And they cannot touch you. So, what happens when you finally reach this level? You become calm. You become certain. You become immune to chaos. In arguments, you don't react. In attacks, you don't flinch. In storms, you don't break. The world begins to revolve around you. Not because you demanded it, but because people sense it. They sense the unshakable energy. They sense the unreadable mask. They sense the untouchable presence. And the truth is, most people will never get there. Most people will remain fragile. Most people will remain slaves to their emotions, to opinions, to validation. But you are different. Because you are willing to kill the weak version of yourself. You are willing to bury the obedient, fragile, desperate version. And you are willing to replace him with something stronger. Something unshakable. Something unreadable. Something untouchable. So remember this. The world will always test you. It will poke. It will provoke. It will tempt you to break. But if you remain calm, disciplined, unreadable, and mysterious, nothing can touch you. No one can control you. And in a world full of fragile men, you will stand alone as something greater. You will be the man who cannot be broken. You will be the man who cannot be manipulated. You will be the man who cannot be touched. That is the final step. That is the transformation. That is what it means to be untouchable.